Okay, I feel like I look kind of dark in this lighting, but we're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna go with it because I put on a wee bit of mascara, and you know what that means. Yeah, I'm filming a sit-down video. Excuse me, sir. I'm making a video. Loud ass truck. Anyway, I realized I have not made a book video or like a reading wrap-up or anything really on YouTube since May. So I gotta fill y'all in on some things that I've been reading. So I'm gonna do a summer reading wrap-up. It's gonna be all the books that I've read since the end of May when I did my last wrap-up video. The stupid fly in the window. I hope y'all can't hear that either. I'm sorry, my neighbors are so freaking loud and the flies in this apartment are intrusive. But anyway, so I think the last book I talked about in my last video was On a Quiet Street. No, I talked about Magnolia Parks too, I believe, in that one. But boy, have I read a lot of things since then. So we're gonna start. Okay, so right after school ended and like summer was officially starting, I picked up The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren, okay? And that book was so fun. Okay, don't look at the viewfinder, look in the lens. That book was so fun because I really love Christina Lauren, first of all, and I read The Unhoneymooners, which is one of my favorites. It's so funny. It's a really good like romantic comedy. I read that, and I read a lot of other books by Christina Lauren. I absolutely love them as a writing duo. So Unhoneymooners by them is really good. Love in Other Words is one of my favorite books of all time. And they have other ones like The True Love Experiment or whatever it's called. Yeah, The True Love Experiment and The Soulmate Equation. Those books are really cute too. So anyway, with this one, let me look at the little synopsis to remind myself. So right, okay. So this one is about a girl who she's, you know, she's just like us. She's like middle class. She's a bit of a starving artist situation. She went to school. She originally was going to be in like med school track, and then she switched into being like an art major or something. And while she was in college, she marries a guy for housing, basically. They get married so that they can live in the married people housing at their college. They went to UCLA. And so she thought that they were divorced already, and that you know, she kind of completely forgot about that whole marriage situation because she thought that it was over and it was never really a real thing. But then one day he knocks on her door and he needs her help for something. And the story is so good. They have to pretend like they're still married, like they actually have known each other all these years, but they really don't know each other like that. He was a friend of hers big brother, so like they really weren't even friends like that. And so they have to pretend like they've been married all these years. She has to pretend like she actually went to medical school, even though she never stepped foot in medical school, and fool his rich family at a wedding. And so yeah, I think it's like his sister's wedding, and his family is like, hey, bring your wife, you know, and he's like, right, the wife. So it's a really good book. I enjoyed it. I laughed a lot. I really loved the main character, the female main character. She was so hilarious to me. She was so funny. And then the guy, like, was just, the way that they were together was super cute. There were some steamy scenes. It is a spicy book, but it wasn't all spice. And I really liked the messages of like family and money, and just, you know, how like everyone in your family has their own things that they have going on, secrets and such, but family dynamics. Any books that tackle family dynamics are always very entertaining to me. So I really enjoyed that one. I don't remember what I rated it. I don't know if I did rate it. I don't always rate everything that I read because sometimes I'm like, I just really enjoyed that. I don't want to like ruin my experience by having to like put a number on it. I just want to remember it as a book that I really enjoyed. So I really liked that one. I think it says I gave it like 4 stars, which is a really good rating. So I really enjoyed that one. After that, I read Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan, and honestly, let me tell you now, I can't get enough. I can't get enough of Kennedy. She never misses. I've heard slightly mixed reviews about this book, but overall it's been very, very good, and I agree. You know, I'm just gonna be like preaching to the choir here, but this book was amazing to me. I absolutely love Kennedy Ryan and this whole series. I haven't read all of Kennedy Ryan's books, but I have read all of the Skyland series, and I've read Real by her as well. But I think that's it though. So I really need to like step up my Kennedy Ryan game, but I absolutely adored this book. I don't really even need a synopsis of that one. I remember it for the most part. Better than most books, which really means something. And if you can't tell, I rated it 5 stars. Love it. I loved the way she wrote Hendrix with some more like depth in this book. She's always been a fun friend in every other book, and I've always loved her character, like loved her character down. So I've been looking forward to this book, and I'm so happy it's purple because that's my favorite color, and Hendrix I think is like my favorite character. I do believe maybe Soledad might be my favorite actually, because she's also a mom, and her whole self-love journey she had in her book, This Could Be Us, was amazing to me. So I don't know if they're close. So anyway, I loved this book. Hendrix was great. Her dealing with her mother and her health situation was very humanizing to see her go through, and I just loved the way, but I just loved the way that she fell into love with, you know, is it Mal? No. What is the character's name? What is the male character's name? So not Mal, but Mav. There was another book I read recently where the guy's name was Mal. Hendrix and Mav, the way that they fell into each other, like, and just the way Mav was like so dead set on pursuing her, and he was respectful about it. He respected her boundaries. I don't know if you can hear, but I love the way that Mav was so, he respected her boundaries in his approach, but he made it very clear what his intentions were, and he did not hesitate to pursue her no matter what she was going through. He actually wanted to help her through what she was going through, which I just really appreciated, but didn't believe she needed saving, but just wanted to be there for her because he knew that she could take care of herself and the situation that she was in on her own, and that actually was part of the reason why he was so attracted to her, which I really appreciate in a man. But he wanted to be a helping hand for her just because he could, you know? Anytime she needed him, like private jet to wherever she was at, you know, car with the driver like pulling up to wherever she was at, like he was there, okay? And I loved it. I loved it so much. I was there for it all the way. So that book was definitely a 5-star read. I highly recommend that whole series if you haven't read it. But Kennedy Ryan is one of my favorite authors. Next we have The Conditions of Will. The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings, who wrote Magnolia Parks in that whole series, which I've still only read the first book in that series. So no spoilers, but I will get back into that because I absolutely really enjoyed Magnolia Parks, and this book I think I liked more than Magnolia Parks actually. I believe I rated this one 5 stars as well. It was a really good reading month for me. I'm still in June, by the way. So this was The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. This was about a girl named Georgia. Okay, Georgia is a Southern belle from a very affluent family in the South, and there's a lot in this book actually to cover, but she had an interesting childhood. Her and her sister did not get along. She actually does not get along with most of her family, partially because it's something that went down with her and her sister's boyfriend at the time. It's a crazy story. If you've read this, you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy. I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't want to get too much into this. But she becomes basically estranged from her family for multiple reasons, but one major reason. But then her dad dies, so they all have to come back together and they have to figure out his will, conditions of will. And there's some secrets that are uncovered, some secrets that have been hiding that come to light between a lot of people in the family. So yeah, it's interesting. There's like a love triangle situation. There's lots of there's representation, LGBTQ. And it's just a really good book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I could not put it down. I read it really quickly. It's 5 stars for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So now I'm really excited to hop back into the Magnolia Parks universe because I was very impressed with Jessa Hastings in this book. Okay, I'm gonna say that much. Next up for June, this is the last book for June, we have Swan Song by Elin Hilderbrand. I think that's how you say it. I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book as well. It was different for me. It's not necessarily something that I would normally pick up, but I'm glad I did because I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was kind of like a mystery. Hold on, let me look at the synopsis again because I've read some books very similar in plot to this one and I don't want to get them mixed up. But yeah, so the chief of police is about to retire, and right before he retires, there's someone goes missing on the island and he has to solve this case, and he's like on his way out. He has heart problems, so he's like trying to take it easy on his last few days on the job, and then this happens. There's a $22 million summer home is purchased by a mysterious family who comes in, and they start throwing all these crazy parties, making friends very quickly with everybody in the island and making themselves very known. And yeah, the Richardsons, they throw these lavish parties, they flirt with multiple locals, and they flaunt their wealth. Then their house ends up burning down to the ground. This is like not a spoiler, it's like right at the beginning of the story, and you're working your way back and forth between present and leading up to this event where their house gets burned down, and you're trying to figure out like who did it, why, what was the motivation, like what happened. So it's a very interesting book. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It was just, I didn't really know what to expect from this author because this was actually the first book I've ever read by her, and I know that she's a very popular author, but I've never read anything by her before, so I just didn't know what to expect. I went into this completely blind. I didn't read the synopsis or anything before I started, so it was cool going into this blind and not knowing at all what to expect. There was lots of multiple POVs in this book, which I enjoyed. It helped it go faster because it was just jumping around a lot and then like from time to time. So I like books like that. It keeps me kind of engaged. I have a little bit of ADHD in there somewhere, I think. So things like that help me stay engaged in a book. So I read it pretty quickly and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a fun little ride. Also, we're getting into July now. The first book I read in July, or finished in July, was The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This book, obviously, I've seen the movie, I've seen the musical. I love the musical, and I can't say I thoroughly enjoy the movie just because it's a little bit darker than the musical, and then the book is a little bit darker than the movie. So I obviously enjoyed it because it's a classic, and so it's a great book. I mean, honestly, this is another one I could not put down. Even though I already know how the story kind of goes, which is very interesting actually getting to read the book that the movie and the shows that I really love came from. And it's a beautiful book. It is so well written. It is so amazingly done, and I understand why it's such a classic and why the movie and the show, you know, came from it, because it's such a good book. And it is hard to read. There's parts of it that are hard to get through, but overall it is such a beautiful story of sisterhood and, you know, overcoming hardship, loving yourself, finding out your gifts and showcasing them proudly. Like, it's just a beautiful story, and it will never get old. So I'm really happy I finally read this book. Obviously 5 stars. I don't think I usually rate classics though, so I don't think I actually like rated it, but if I were to rate it, it'd be 5 stars, probably 6. And then also in July, I read a book called Too Soon for Adios by Annette Chavez Macias, and I don't know, Macias? I don't know how I say that, but I really liked this book. I rated it 4 stars, so I liked it a lot, but I honestly need to look at the synopsis to remember. My nail literally just broke off. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I'm not flipping you off. But it broke earlier, but it was hanging on by a thread all day, and now it finally just like chipped the rest of the way off. If I had some good nail glue, I could probably stick it back on, but I don't think I have any. Anyway. Okay, so it's a heartfelt novel about a woman who embarks on an emotional journey when she meets her biological father on the day of her mother's funeral. Yeah, that's how like the story starts, and I was like, whoa, this is gonna be good. No one expects to meet their father at their mother's funeral, but for Gabby Medina, that's exactly what happens. Her dad abandoned her when she was a baby, and now he's back, and he wants to give her a house. Gabby doesn't want the house or him, but she could use the money, so Gabby agrees to take it under 2 conditions. First, she can sell the house whenever she wants, and second, accepting it doesn't mean she accepts him. After they strike a deal, Gabby hires a contractor in preparation for a quick sale. But as she gets to know the town and these 2 new men in her life, she learns more about herself than she ever dared to think possible. You'll see how it goes if you read the book. I don't want to spoil it. I really enjoyed this book. I remember right now it's like coming back to me, and 4 stars for me. It wasn't 5 stars, but it was a really good read. Then another one, we're getting into August now. July was a slow month because I moved in July. So in case you haven't seen those videos, I have actually some videos of that on my channel. And I moved to a new state, started pretty much completely new in July. So I didn't have time to read that much, but I did read those 2. And then in August, now we're in August, first book in August, we have Francine's Spectacular Crash and Burn. This was a very interesting book. I didn't rate it because I wasn't really sure what to rate it. I don't even know for sure. I don't remember even how this book ended. I'm pretty sure I finished it because it was an interesting book, but I couldn't really even tell you what it was about. I know it's about a very neurodivergent girl who's mom passes away in the beginning of the book, so this is not a spoiler, but she kind of like crashes and burns after that. So she meets a boy who I believe has autism. I don't think they say that for sure in the book, maybe they do, but it's an autistic boy. She meets him like on the street one day, and he's super cute and smart, very intelligent, and just very honest and open with her. And she was actually about to do something drastic upon her mother passing. She didn't know if she could continue living, basically, and then she meets this kid. And she finds out that the kid's mom is a girl that she used to know in high school, who she has a like crush on. Like she used to have a crush on this girl in high school. So she finds out that this kid's mom is that girl, and then they end up hanging out, and things go on from there. It's a very interesting story, and I will say I mean I enjoyed it, but I couldn't tell you the ending. Like I don't really remember how it ended. So I don't know if that's like a good sign. But if you like books with neurodivergent characters, some LGBTQ representation, and kind of weird, then I think you would really like this book. And then again for August, I also read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, if that's how you say it. This book was really good. I really enjoyed it. This book I can kind of start recalling better. This book was about, it was like a radio show with a host named I think Aiden Valentine, and he talked about love, basically. It was like a love show on the radio, and the ratings weren't doing very well. One day this little girl calls and she's like, hey, like I want you to talk to my mom and try to get her to like date because she seems lonely. And the host is like, okay, you know, and it's really funny that first phone call that they have when the girl's mom like sees her on the phone late at night. She's like, who the hell are you talking to? But it's really funny. It's a good book. Their banter is so good. She ends up going on the radio show as like a guest for a while, and they're like, let's find a single mom love in this big city, like come on, like who's out there? So they kind of use the radio show to gain like some love interest, like a bachelorette type situation, low-key. And it was a cool premise and a really good story. I really enjoyed her relationship with her daughter's father and with her daughter and with the radio show host, and just, you know, it was a nice read. It was a fun read, and I thoroughly enjoyed this one as well. It's like my favorite thing, like I thoroughly enjoyed. And I think I rated this one 4 stars. So I highly recommend this one if you're into romance. It's super light for the most part, but relatable, especially if you're a single mom and you are trying to navigate that life and dating and such. It can be extremely hard especially being like the primary parent. It's hard out here, you know? And sometimes you're like, I don't think it's worth it. So I understood her completely. So I think that's why I liked it so much. I could relate to her a lot. But after that, we're still in August. August was a good reading month for me. We're trying again here. It stopped on me. Let me go faster. I gotta rapid fire the rest of these. So Spiral. I read Spiral. This was a book about a hockey player and a ballet dancer. The ballet dancer could not get a job. The hockey player was like known for being like a player. And so it's like a fake dating situation because he's popular and she needed more followers. And so they end up fake dating so that he can get, you know, out of that Playboy view in the tabloids because he has a partner, and then she could get more followers to get into this ballet company she wanted to be into. And so it's a really good book. I loved it. I loved the way he loved her, and I loved the way she like was, you know, a dancer, so it talked about her like in that life, which I can obviously understand and relate to, and I think it was written pretty well. And so yeah, it was just a really good book. I highly recommend that one. I think I rated it, I said 3.75, but I think I might bump it up to a 4 just because I actually, in retrospect, I'm like, no, that was really good. I liked it. Also in August, I read Animal Farm by George Orwell, and I know it's a classic, but I hadn't read it before. I don't think we had to read this one in school, but they're reading it at the school I work at. I work at a high school. And so I was like, you know, let me pick that up because I've heard it's relatable these days. Very relevant in these times. Lots of Orwell has been quite relatable lately, unfortunately. So I read Animal Farm, and that was really good. I read it really quick. I ate it up. It was a really short book, so I read it in like 2 days and highly recommend it. And then for my next book, I read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. And I know Emily Henry is a very popular author, and I do enjoy most of her books. Not quite as much as I think Book Talk enjoys her, but I do enjoy her. I've read a lot of her books, and I do usually rate them like at least 3 stars. This one I rated, I think, 3.75. I felt like that was being kind of generous. I didn't love it. I think because it was kind of somewhat similar to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo in its premise, but it was like also a love story between like these two competing writers. And I feel like because I loved The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo so much, and that was done so well, it was such a good book in my opinion, this one wasn't as good as that one. I feel like, I don't know what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a romance, or it was supposed to be just like a contemporary fiction with some romance aspect to it, but it didn't feel very much like either one of those. So I feel like since it didn't fit in a genre, and sometimes books don't need to fit in a genre and they can still be good if it's a really good book, but this one didn't really fit in a genre, and it wasn't like profound in any way in its message or anything. So I just feel like it kind of was flat for me. It felt flat for me, I'm gonna be honest. And I was really anticipating this one because it's Emily Henry and everyone loves her. People were raving about it, but I don't really know why. So yeah, I didn't love it, but that's just my opinion. After that, I read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was a 5-star read for me. Taylor Jenkins Reid always kind of does that for me. I really thoroughly enjoy her writing a lot. So Atmosphere is about a female astronaut, and it goes through her journey of training for her first mission at NASA. And this was like back in the 80s. So, you know, these are like the first women who are ever going to be like going out into space. So it's a very big deal. And she also comes to terms with like her sexuality in this book. And in the very beginning of the book, you see that she's on the ground and like ground control, and or like all of her like friends, because it's like a lot of astronauts are out in space, and that the ship, they're stuck in space basically. Like something happens and like they're stuck in space, and that's like the beginning of the book. And then it shows you the journey of like them making it through their training and like becoming okay, hold on, I got cut off again, so I gotta be quick. Okay, but so I was on Atmosphere. I was talking about how Joan Goodwin was going through her astronaut training, and you go with her through it and you watch her make friends with these people and, you know, become an astronaut, and you learn about her sister and their relationship and her, you know, that dynamic. And then it's also the present, where her astronaut friends are stuck in space and she's trying to figure out how to get them back. And it's just like, it's very action-packed. I feel like it would be a really good movie. There's movies already kind of like this out already, but this one in particular I think would be really good just because I really enjoyed the story. I really love her writing. I think she just nails it every time. And so yeah, 5 stars for me. Atmosphere was so good. Oh gosh, okay. Yeah, this was really good too. So next up was Sunrise on the Reaping. Yes, by Suzanne Collins, that one. And I'm a Hunger Games fan. I've been a Hunger Games fan since I was a kid when it first came out, and I watched all the movies after I read the books. It was like Harry Potter for me, where I was like reading them as it was coming out and then watching the movies as they were coming out, and I love that series so much. I love the movies, I love the books, I love the messaging behind both. I love just everything about it is done so well, and it's beautiful to me. So when this book came out, I was very excited. I was a little confused. I was like, what is this? What is this book? I thought it was over, you know? But I finally read it, and I heard everybody saying that they were crying through this book, that it was hard, like it was a tough one for them emotionally. And I was like, I think that's another reason why I held off on reading it for so long, because I was a little scared. I was really nervous because I remember sorry, the light's coming in now, the sun is setting, I need to hurry up. But I was a Hunger Games girl growing up, so I know how Suzanne can really get you there. And so I was scared, honestly, to read this book. But oh my gosh, isn't it beautiful? It is so good. I loved this book so much. I give it 5 stars, obviously. It was so good. And it was very interesting to hear about Hamage's Hunger Games, you know, because we knew obviously that he had one and he was the victor and everything, but we didn't know how that happened or what that was like for him and what his upbringing was like leading up to that or anything. So it was just really cool to get that backstory, because I do enjoy Hamage as a character, and so it was really cool to see his backstory and to see how he ended up the way that he is. So yeah, it was so good. I did cry. I cried. I cried a few times. I think I might have made a TikTok about it because I literally was in tears at the end of the book. But yeah, I recommend it, especially if you're a Hunger Games fan. Obviously, you need to read this. If you're like, do I really need it? Like, I already read the whole series. Yes. Yes, you do. You do need it. And I need to watch the movie too. I'm late. I know. I'm behind. But I'll get caught up. I'll get there. But I loved it. Okay, my last two. So I read The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. And I gave that one like 3.5 stars. It was good. It was a thriller, which I don't normally read as much thrillers, so maybe that's part of the reason, but I think it was hard for me to like any single one of the characters, so I feel like that's why I wasn't like loving the story, because there wasn't a single character that I liked. Like even the girl who was there to like get the bitch of the story, I didn't like her either. I didn't like any of the characters, so I think that made it harder for me to read. It was a good book, it was written well, and I liked the plot overall, although it was kind of hard to follow. It was very strange. There's like a secret society involved. There's like, you know, flashbacks between like the past and the present, and there's all these different points of view, and I think that kind of got confusing. Some people's point of view, I was like, what is the point of this? Did I need her point of view? I don't think I needed it. So there's a little bit too many POVs for my opinion. I'm trying to like get in the sun a little bit, but there's a little bit too many point of views for my personal opinion. I think there were some that were not necessarily needed, and it made the story a little bit harder to follow, and I didn't like any of the characters, so it was hard to root for anybody. But it was written well, and like the suspense was there. Like I was like picking it up and being like, what is going on? So like it did do what it was supposed to do, which is why I gave it 3.5. It would have been higher if there would have been at least one character that I liked. And then the last book I'm going to talk about in this video, the most recent book that I finished, was Malibu Rising, another Taylor Jenkins read. Like I said, I love her, and I read Atmosphere. That's the earliest I've been to like a book of hers. I'm still like kind of a new reader, so a lot of her books came out a long time ago and I just haven't read them yet. So Malibu Rising is one of her older books and I haven't read it yet, and I finally picked it up, and I think I wasn't super like fast to get it because it's about like a surfer, and I've never even surfed before in my life, although I did read a book about an astronaut and I've never been to space, but that's different, you know. Like I don't know, it's Taylor Jenkins read, so of course I was gonna pick it up eventually. So I read it and I'm so glad I did. I really enjoyed it. The last few days of summer is when I finished this, so that was nice, and I just really enjoyed watching the main character's journey into like self-love, self-care, like putting herself first for once. Her story was amazing to read, and I think the way it was told kind of parallel to her mother's story, because they're very different, her and her mother, but they had very similar storylines with like the restaurant that they ran and the men they ended up marrying and raising children. They raised the same kids basically. She was basically another mother to her siblings, and so that's what I mean about her putting herself first. She never got to growing up, and then she never did because she just didn't know how as an adult. So you finally get to see her have a moment to where she can decide to choose herself, and she does, and it's just beautiful to see. And I don't want to get into too many specifics, but there's like a big party that the family throws every year at her house, and a lot goes down. We get a lot of guests at the party. It goes a little crazy, but some of the guests are people you would have never imagined would show up, and so it was just really good. I loved it. You see like a coming of age with her sister and realizing her like sexuality and things, coming to terms with all of that. You know, the brother has to come to terms with his like surfing career possibly coming to an end. There's a lot in this book that it covers, but it doesn't feel crowded. It feels like it all flows, and that everyone just has a very real story behind them. Like the characters don't feel superficial, they feel very real and deep, and like this was written about actual people, which I enjoy reading books like that, you know. When it's a contemporary fiction, I don't want it to feel completely like fiction. I want them to feel like real people, real actualized people with their own personalities and their own struggles and their own issues. So I think every character in this book had that, and I think she's very good at writing characters like that. So that's why I love her book so much. But yeah, it was a really good summer of reading, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. I have no idea how long this is going to be when I edit it. As you can see, the sun has gone down while I've been talking, so it's been a hot minute, but I'm gonna wrap this up now. And thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more. I make more content like this. I make book content. I totally forgot that I have some of the physical books right here that I was wanting to hold up while I was talking about them, but this was Spiral. This is my signed copy of Can't Get Enough. I love this. I got this with my friend at a bookstore. This I already read, so I don't even need to put that in here. Malibu Rising and The Midnight Feast. I'm gonna take these back to the library now that I finished them. But yes, let's take some pictures. This is my favorite, so I'm gonna take some pictures with this one for thumbnail. Alright, so thank you for watching. Make sure that you subscribe for more. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm trying to get a little bit more active on there. So go follow me over there. Motivate me to post. And then like this video, comment down below if you've read any of these books in this video that I talked about, or what you're reading right now. I would love to know what you're reading, so let me know in the comments below. Thank you for making it this far. Thank you for watching. You a real one. Hit that subscribe button for more, because honestly now you're in the family now, okay? So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.